With the planet's current climate situation, a botanist named Jeremy Frame has spent years experimenting on the original seeds of the ancient Garden of Eden in his private laboratory. He has discovered that the plants grown from the seeds can eliminate every airborne contaminant in seconds, the possible solution for the planet's declining amount of pure air due to pollution. In an abandoned mining site, a pair of environmental activists, Kate and Joe, await the arrival of whom they believe was responsible for throwing toxic waste on the site. However, they are about to encounter a completely different situation. Moments later, a scientist from Dr. Frame's laboratory named Kyle arrives, seemingly looking for someone. An agent appears and shows them a suitcase full of money to seal their deal. Kate and Joe watch from behind a concrete block using their camera and binoculars. Kyle then pulls out a knife and cuts his palm. He uses a leaf from the laboratory and places it on his wound. The wound heals in a matter of seconds, convincing the agent, who then asks for the seed. Kyle returns to the car to get the seed, but a sniper, who's tasked to ensure the confidentiality of the deal, spots Kyle and Joe. The agent is informed, leading him to believe that Kyle wants to screw him. The agent then confronts Kyle just as Kate and Joe start running back to their car. The sniper informs the agent again, distracting him. This allows Kyle the time to run, but the sniper shoots him, causing him to drop the vial containing the seed. The seed begins to grow at an incredible speed, and its gigantic roots shoot out from the ground, covering the area. Kate and Joe drive off while Kate records everything. Meanwhile, Jocelyn Stein, Dr. Frame's former colleague, is informed by a special agent named Jack about the incident and asks her to come with them. In the car, Jack explains everything. Turns out, Jocelyn worked with Dr. Frame 3 years ago in an excavation site to find the missing seeds of the Garden of Eden, which they believe were tucked away by Adam after they were banished from the garden. Jocelyn managed to find an urn containing the seed, but Dr. Frame lied to her that there wasn't and terminated the funding for the excavation. Now, Jocelyn and the feds need to figure out a way to stop the plant. In the last hour, its roots have rapidly covered miles, destroying everything in its path. It would not be long before it hits one of the major cities. In fear of getting involved, Kate and Joe decide not to tell the authorities about the incident until they find out who they can trust. They start by tracking where the car came from, and with the help of their hacker friend, they discover it belongs to Element Corp Industries, Dr. Frame's secret laboratory. As they drive away from the growing roots, they spot 3 fighter jets about to bomb the plant, and they almost get caught in the explosion. One of the pilots informs the feds that the target has been destroyed, and they start to celebrate. But moments later, Jocelyn notices that the plant regrows, and a lot faster than earlier, heading towards their base. The federal commander, Bob, orders another attack, and Jocelyn tells them that it would only make things worse. However, he refuses to listen until only one of the fighter jets remain. He calls to abort the mission, but the last one collides with the roots and explodes. Left with no choice, Bob orders evacuation. Meanwhile, Kate and Joe reach Dr. Frame's laboratory and decide to climb over the fence. Dr. Frame spots them from the security camera, so he sends his men to subdue them. As Joe climbs, the roots of the plant rapidly approach the laboratory, causing a massive earthquake. To their surprise, the roots stop and change course, evading the entire laboratory. This leads Dr. Frame to come up with a solution to slow down its growth, but in the meantime, he orders his men to secure the premises before the outside world learns that their laboratory is the only safe place on Earth. On their way to the evacuation site, Jocelyn explains that there is a part in the Bible warning humans of a disaster if they fail to protect the planet. She believes that the plant has grown tremendously due to the pollution, which also explains why it doubles in size when bombed. Back at the laboratory, Kate and Joe are spotted by the security, who opens fire at them, leaving them no choice but to flee. At the evacuation site in Lake Tahoe, Jocelyn finds a satellite image of the secret laboratory and insists on checking it, as it may hold answers to the plant's mystery. Jack asks Bob, but the latter refuses, saying their priority is to get the president and the cabinet members to safety. Jack also learns that the agent who attempted to make a deal with Kyle was part of the covert mission to get the seeds. Turns out, the government already knows about it. Finally knowing the truth, Jack decides to leave with Jocelyn to fix the mess. At the laboratory, Joe is hit by a bullet, but they need to continue running from the guards. He trips to the garden and lands on the same plant Kyle used to heal the wound on his palm. The leaf heals his wound in seconds, and Kate recognizes the leaf. Joe grabs a handful before running off. They soon reach Dr. Frame's main laboratory where they see his experiments, including more seeds stored in vials. Dr. Frame arrives, forcing them to hide while Kate records everything. Dr. Frame starts experimenting on a root when he hears a noise. He slowly approaches where it's coming from, but is stopped when the monitor alerts him that he successfully created a serum to slow the growth of the plant. Dr. Frame rushes outside to inform his colleague, but they will need to find the taproot and have it analyzed in their lab to figure out what went wrong and prevent such disaster from happening again. Kate and Joe come out of hiding, but a guard spots them and opens fire again as they start to run. Meanwhile, Jocelyn explains that they need to find the taproot, and Jack tells the pilot to contact Bob to ask where the agent has met up with Kyle. However, they receive no response. The roots have reached the evacuation area at Lake Tahoe where Bob and the others unfortunately met their demise. The chopper soon reaches the laboratory, and Jocelyn cannot believe how it remains unscathed. She says they need to land in the area to further investigate. In the forest, Kate loses her camera during the chase and insists they come back for it, but Joe thinks it's too dangerous. They suddenly spot the chopper flying above, so they decide to follow it, thinking it was not from the same person who's trying to kill them. Dr. Frame spots the chopper and orders his men to prevent it from landing. The guards start shooting at the chopper, killing the pilot in the process. Jack and Jocelyn manage to land the chopper and escape, while Kate and Joe take advantage of the situation to get the camera, but they find the camera bag empty. In his office, Dr. Frame watches the news about the global disaster. At the plant's growth rate, it will soon reach the coastline. He's then informed that his men found no one other than the dead pilot. He then has his men mobilized to do a sweep of the perimeter, as he believes there were others aboard the chopper. The camera is then handed over to him, who shows the footage of Kyle's transaction with the agent at the mines. Jack and Jocelyn soon find themselves in the garden, where Jocelyn realizes that the soil might be producing some sort of an antibody that repels the invasive roots. She explains she needs to analyze the soil to come up with the serum that can stop the plant, and Jack tells her to use Dr. Frame's laboratory. On their way, they meet Kate and Joe, who explain the reason why they ended up inside the garden. They decide to team up and head over to the lab to extract the serum, but they are intercepted by Dr. Frame's men. Jack orders them to go while he tries to fend off the guards. A shootout ensues. Jocelyn, Kate, and Joe arrive at the laboratory, and Jocelyn immediately starts with the procedure while Jack continues to defend himself. Dr. Frame knocks on the laboratory, asking Jocelyn to let him in and team up to prevent a world disaster. Once the roots reach the ocean, they will trigger tsunamis that will wipe out the entire planet. He eventually convinces Jocelyn, who informs him she managed to create the serum. He says they still need to find the taproot, and Jocelyn tells him that Kate and Joe know its location. Together, they go outside the lab where they meet Jack, who was subdued by the guards. Dr. Frame volunteers to pilot the chopper to get them to Ground Zero, the Campbell Mines. The team, consisting of Jocelyn, Frame, Jack, Kate, and Joe, climb aboard the chopper, and soon they find the mining site. Jack orders Kate and Joe to stay at the chopper, monitoring updates from authorities, while he, Dr. Frame, and Jocelyn go into the mines with their equipment to find the taproot. In the middle of the tunnel, they find the gigantic root. Jack fires at the root to create a hole for the serum before preparing the explosives. Jocelyn starts feeding it with the serum, but the root instantly regenerates. The plant is too smart. It knows it's being killed. Before Jack can activate the explosives, Dr. Frame holds him at gunpoint and shoots him. Dr. Frame objects to killing the root and insists on keeping it dormant to make it available for study. He orders Jocelyn to use the serum he created to put the root to sleep, as he believes that he can control it to combat pollution and help the planet. Jack then uses Dr. Frame's distraction to activate the bomb, allowing Jocelyn to stab the serum into Dr. Frame's heart, killing him. As the plant rages, regenerating gigantic roots, Jocelyn helps Jack out of the tunnel and the bomb erupts behind them. The explosion ultimately kills the plant, saving Kate and Joe, who are trapped inside the chopper. Jocelyn lays the heavily injured Jack on the ground. Kate and Joe arrive moments later. Joe reveals the leaves he pulled out from the garden earlier and places them on Jack's chest, healing him within seconds. After several days, Jocelyn and Jack are back at the lab, studying the seeds. Jocelyn manages to find a way to tame the seeds, allowing her to control them to retain their healing properties. Then, they use the seeds to renew life on Earth, returning its balance. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and click here for another movie recap video.